girl Stephanie. Welcome and welcome back to Quilting Beauty and Books, my corner of YouTube. I pray that you and your family are all doing well today and that you enjoyed today's video. Guys, in today's video, I want to talk to you about a couple of books that I read in the month of April. It is a total of 5 books. 4 of the books were picked by my girl Lou over at Christian Faith and Fiction. I am so happy that I'm about to hopefully record this video for the very last time. I've already recorded like 2 or 3 times, and each time there was something going on with the audio. The last time, I just couldn't put that one out there. I'm not gonna even tell y'all what was wrong with it. It was just not, it wasn't cute. So I'm trying it again for the very last time, okay? Let's go ahead and get started. The first book that I read for the month of April is 3, and it is by Ted Dekker. This is a psychological thriller. This book was really good. I did give it a 5-star on Goodreads. What would you do if you received a phone call and it said you had 3 minutes to call a news outlet or some media outlet to confess a sin, solve a riddle, or the car that you're driving is going to be blown up? That's what happened to the guy Kevin in this book. He receives this strange phone call, and he's like, I'm not calling no news outlet trying to confess a sin. What sin? And of course, he wasn't told which sin he was supposed to confess, or the car that he was driving gonna get blown up. Well, throughout the book, he had to either solve a riddle or things are gonna go boom. Many things went boom in this book, okay? He had to solicit the help from another childhood friend. Her name was Samantha. And then because it was a case, you know that ain't nothing but the devil. Because it was a case, he had to get help from the outside law enforcement. And this help came in the form of a lady named Jennifer, who was dealing with her own riddle killer over in her state. In fact, her riddle killer was, if you didn't solve this riddle, you or the one or someone close to you would be murdered. In her case, it was her brother who was murdered because she refused to, play the game. So she was interested in coming over trying to help in this case, in this particular case. Well, the guy, the evil guy, his name was, or the bad guy, I should say, his name was Slater, and happened to be somebody from Kevin's past. Kevin, of course, didn't want his past to be outed because he did not come, or he was not brought up in a traditional home. And he, of course, he didn't want all that his business out in the streets, okay? And it was just it was really, really good. Ted kept my attention from the first page all the way through the end. I was really, really sad at the end. Think of Criminal Minds. You know how they have the BAU and then they have the unsub. This is more from the unsub side because, you're dealing with a person and all the, their psyche and stuff like that. So this book was really, really good. I enjoyed it. I can't tell you that it's my favorite genre of books, but I can tell you it's close to the top, and I really, really did enjoy reading this book. Do I recommend it? Yes. Don't read this book if you're expecting it not to deal with mental disorders. You have to be okay with that. You have to be okay with that, because if not, you're gonna hate this book. Just putting it out there. So that was one of the books. The next book is Wind Through Deep Waters, and this is by Rachelle Dekker, Ted's daughter, I do believe. Very, very good. Another 5-star read. Oh. Again, this book had me from the beginning to the very, very end. It dealt with a young woman. Her name is Allison, who has to deal with something a mother prays that she would never ever have to deal with, and that is the loss of her child. And considering she didn't have a very good relationship with her mother, her daughter, her husband, her home, all that was her everything. And when she lost her child, it felt, well, spoiler, she lost everything. So having to come to grips with that, she went away for a while, and she went to a place that she used to frequent when she was younger during the summers. I think it was called Red Lodge or something like that. And she went there with a friend, and her friend was closing her family's home and their family's business. So she was helping her out with that, and things start to happen. She started seeing things that nobody else can see. And of course, if you see it, sometimes you also hear things that nobody can hear. Well, by doing so, things were starting to happen, or Allison was starting to act out in certain ways that was considered very harmful to herself and others. So she did agree while she was there that she would seek help, and she was a part of a, she went to go seek help, and she was on how do I want to say it? Outpatient. She was being seen outpatient, and hunting. What do you do when the psychologist or psychiatrist or the admin, because she really wasn't a psychiatrist, she was like the admin, like the owner of the facility, got issues too. Well, her issues collided with Allison issues, and honey, let me tell you, it was a big mess. So Allison had a lot on her plate to deal with, and this book, Rachelle wrote it beautifully. Look, the raw emotion was done very well. The part where is what she's seeing her children, is 4 children, when she's talking, communicating with these children, and when she's acting out, all that real and raw emotion. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It is like a personal testimony. And for me, one day, hopefully I can share it. I was hoping to do a talk video about this book. I'm still debating on doing it, because that means I will have to disclose some things that I'm not ready at this second yet to disclose on camera. So yeah, that book was really, really good. I think you guys would thoroughly enjoy it. Will I put it in the class of psychological? I would say yes, because it is dealing with someone who's going through something traumatic and all of the raw emotion that is behind it. So to me, it's not a thriller per se, because there's it's not a lot of killing. Suspense, I would say yes, because it's a lot of, girl, when you gonna find out? How you gonna find out? All that kind of stuff. So that part is suspenseful to me. But I think they classified it as just a fiction book. But I think it has something to do with psychological. Okay, I'm not understanding how my phone is still going off when I have it on Do Not Disturb. Well, I thought I had it on Do Not Disturb. I'm sorry. But okay, into the next book. The next book is Counted with the Stars, and this is book number 1 from the Out from Egypt series by Connilyn, Cossette. This book was really good. I did give it a 5-star read over on Goodreads. It was really, really, really good. I had to say it. I never been disappointed with a book from Connilyn Cossette, so I didn't feel like I was going to be disappointed with this book either. It's about a young girl named Kaya who was sold into slavery by her father because he had a debt that needed to be paid. And he didn't steal himself, wife, or a son. That's beside the point, but he sold her into slavery. She had to deal with a nasty, nasty mistress, along with another slave. Her name was Shira. She befriended, and the lady put them through the ringer. And then this was set back with the time of Moses and Aaron and Pharaoh. Let my people go during that time. Yeah, so when the Hebrews were freed, Kaya left along with them, along with her mother and her brother. I'm not going to tell you guys why, but they were given the opportunity to flee with them, and Kaya had a hard decision to make. She needed to figure out if what God was she going to serve. Now, she already knew that she wasn't into any of the Egyptian gods, but she really wasn't into this Hebrew God either. So being out in the wilderness with the Hebrews, she is having to make this decision, and along on this journey, things happen that will cause her to really, really think about who Yahweh really is. Do I recommend this book wholeheartedly? The book was really, really good. I can't wait to read book number 2 in this series, and to tell you guys about that in the future as well. On to the next book. The next book is The End of the Magi, and it is by Patrick W. Carr. Another 5-star read. I think, did I give this 5? Well, I can't give it nothing else, as I already stated before. I can't give it nothing else on Goodreads. I probably would have given it a 4.5, 4.75, but it's a 5-star. Now, I did see the reviews from Nay and Lou about this book, how it had, in the beginning, had a lot of bloodshed. Yes, it did. Yes, it did. But this guy, young guy, his name was Myrick. Honey, if he didn't have bad luck, he didn't have no luck, okay? He was, as a young boy, he was adopted by a Hebrew. The Hebrew name was Gershom. His name was Myrick, if I hadn't said so. He was adopted by Gershom. Gershom was a keeper of the calendar, of the Hebrew calendar, marking the days to the coming Messiah, from the prophet Daniel. So he kept the calendar up in his time, and keeping that calendar was something very, very important to the Hebrews. It had to be without spot or blemish, okay? It had to be recorded to the T, everything day by day. And that was his job. Myra found himself on the run for his life, and keeping a calendar when you're trying to live, who knows? Some days something might be missing. You just never know. So while he was on the run, of course, he was going to meet a whole bunch of bad people. But he met a group of great people. Wallagash is a merchant, and his caravan, were 3 other characters. Roshan, there was Storana, who I love, and I believe it was her husband or her maid. I believe it had to be her husband for back then. Eben. Amazing. Patrick wrote these characters they mesh flawlessly. I loved every single one of these guys from Wallagash's caravan. If it wasn't for them, the heck to the rest of the book. But that group, those 4 people, they made the whole entire book. Myri had to figure out his life while on the run, and figure out how, what this calendar meant, what Gershom was, why was he so, destined to keep this calendar. And it was, marking the coming of the Messiah. And to come to find out, they were really close. So he decided he wanted to finish this, I want to say finish the destiny, finish this. So Myri wanted to complete, the process of, doing this calendar that Gershom kept, and, taking note of the coming Messiah. Come to find out, it was closer than anyone expected. And of course, they got to see the Messiah. It was written amazingly. And with the coming Messiah, it was like, wait a minute, this is I have to spoil it. This is a baby. What in the world? We come to see a baby. We trying to come see a king, and we getting a baby. And then they had to decide what they were going to do. And they decided, well, we come this far. Let us, continue on. And they went through Christ's life, and of course through his death, and then what happened after. So his journey was not only technically keeping of the calendar, but his life purpose was to be a follower. So a lot of other stuff that was said. I think this is the only book that I really gave you guys spoilery on, because I just couldn't go around it. But this book was amazing. It was written beautifully, and at the end, I was like, oh, it was really, really good. The last book I'm going to talk to you guys about is The Story Peddler. This is book number 1 in the Weaver trilogy. This is the book that my girl Nate and I read as a buddy read. This book was very, very good. I want to say I gave it a 4.5, if I'm not mistaken, but I had to give it, I can't remember what I gave it on Goodreads. Let me check. I gave this book like a 4.5 stars. I really, really like this book. Again, I done said it all throughout the video, 5 stars on Goodreads, because you can't give it a 4.5 stars. But this book was really good. I didn't think I was gonna like it. It was getting it started off a little shaky. I didn't know what the heck to expect, but this book did not disappoint when it got to the story. This book is about a young woman who tells, she was a storyteller, and her gift was, when she's telling a story, was like ribbons came out from her fingertips, as it does here out on the cover, if you can see that. So when she's telling these stories, then when she finalizes the story, it crystallizes into a block of whatever the story was about. So if she was saying something about flowers, it'll turn into a nice, beautiful flower. And the clearer it is, the more beautiful it is, and all that. It was really good how Lindsay created that part of the story. Well, in her area, in her land, I will have to say, in her land, if you were talking about like the king, he only allotted you so many stories, and you could not stray away from those stories when it came to talking about him and his family. Pretty much like what we're going through right now. Anywho, you can only say so much about him. Well, one day she was telling about the princes or something like that, and one of these strands went rogue. It's turned like white because the white represented truth. Well, no one really noticed it then, but she did, and her mentor did. Her name was Tanwin. I'm sorry, the girl name was Tanwin, and her mentor noticed it. Well, again, at a different time, she went to tell a story, and truth just, took And then Truth sprung out of her hand and went out all about and stuff like that and went wild. I don't know how Truth go wild. Truth went rogue. And it was noticed, and that was considered treason. Honey, Tamlin found herself on the run for her life, okay? Before I get to telling about how she went off running, she had a friend. His name was Brock, who really, really liked her. And she was like, boy, I don't want nothing to do with you. You know, we just friends. You know, he's always that broke one. He always wanting something. That's who he was. But just friends. He wanted more. She was like, nah, So he felt that if he was different, she would want him. But she didn't want nothing like that. She wasn't ready for a relationship, nothing like that. The only thing she wanted was to be a storyteller, to be a very good storyteller, and to be the king's storyteller. Okay. Now, again, she found herself on the run, and then all of a sudden she came into a group of people who were just like her with different talents, and they tried to explain to her, you know, her life, who she is, and all of that, and she was so confused and stuff like that. Well, they end up getting caught. She ended up working for the king anyway. And it was just showing how her life had changed and how all of a sudden people started coming out the woodwork. Literally. Came out of hiding out all this time. And then there was this big fight. And it was a part in this story that was like, whoa. And it was because if she tried to suppress her stories, like when she was trying to control Truth, before Truth all of a sudden started going real wild, she learned the more she held in her truth, the more it would kill her slowly. So I want to throw that out there. And, or affect her. Well, it was killing her. It'll kill you. And it was just really, really good how Lindsay put all that together. And then, of course, left you hanging because there's a book 2. And I do look forward to getting book 2. I just ordered book 2 because I cannot wait to read it. That's all I have for you guys today. Go ahead and like and share this video if you care to do so. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. If not, what are you waiting on? Come ahead and join the family. Yes, join the family. Go ahead and follow me over on Instagram, Twitter, and over on my blog, all with the handle Quilting Beauty and Books. And as always, guys, until the next video, be blessed.